I wasn't running. I was escaping. There's a difference. Running is messy. Shoes untied, breath shallow, guilt nipping at your heels. Escaping? That's intentional. That's survival. After the public breakup, the kind that ends with tears in an Uber and a Twitter thread with far too many likes, I needed out. Not a weekend in Fire Island. Not wine with the boys. I needed silence. Trees. Fog on a lake. Something still. Something real. Silence. Trees. Fog on a lake. Something still. Something real. But before I go on, if you've ever loved someone you shouldn't have, if your heart's still nursing a bruise you pretend doesn't exist, then trust me, this story's for you. Go ahead and hit that like button, share it with someone who gets it, and subscribe so you don't miss a single twist. Because what you're about to read isn't just about lust or longing, it's about getting lost, and maybe finding more than you expected. So I booked a lakeside cabin 6 hours north of Toronto. Off-grid, no Wi-Fi, barely a signal. The kind of place you go when your soul feels bruised and you don't want to explain it. I packed 2 duffels and left before sunrise. By the time I got there, the city had bled out of my skin, and the stillness hit me like a deep exhale I didn't know I was holding. And that's when I saw him. He was outside the neighboring cabin, splitting wood like it owed him money. Flannel shirt, sleeves rolled, forearms dusted with sawdust and sweat. Hair dark and wild, jaw scruffed to the gods. The kind of man who probably hadn't said the word latte in years. I paused with my bags halfway out of the car. He looked up. Our eyes met. And he scowled. Just my luck. My only neighbor for miles looked like a lumberjack and glared like one too. He didn't wave. Didn't smile. Just grabbed another log and split it clean in one sharp motion. Welcome to paradise. I unpacked in silence. Tried not to peek through the window. Failed. He moved like he belonged here. Like the world made more sense in boots and calluses. The total opposite of me. Hair product, Spotify playlists, and heartbreak I hadn't processed. I went for a walk down by the water, tried to pretend I wasn't aware of every creak in the trees behind me, every imagined footstep that wasn't mine. Later that evening, I sat on the porch with a mug of tea, watching the lake blur into dusk. That's when I heard it. Boots on gravel. I looked up. There he was. Place all right? He asked. Voice low. Rough like a warm storm. Yeah, I replied, hoping my smile didn't look like it was begging for more. He nodded. Then just stood there. I swallowed. I'm Eli, by the way. Alec. One word. No follow-up. No handshake. And still, I swear I felt it, that low, humming charge between us. The kind that simmers before it burns. He turned to go, paused halfway, and said, You won't last the week. I blinked. Excuse me. He gave me a once-over. City boots. Clean hands. Lip balm. That damn smirk. Just saying. Then he walked off like he hadn't just lit something inside me I didn't have a name for. That night, the silence buzzed louder than any city siren. I couldn't stop hearing his voice. You won't last the week. Like it wasn't just a prediction. Like it was a promise. Alec. Even the name felt too sharp for the quiet. The kind of name you say once and it sticks in your teeth. I unpacked in a haze. Couldn't stop replaying that smirk, that glance that went deeper than polite. It was like he saw through me. Through the calm, through the I'm fine, through the curated Instagram captions. Saw the ache beneath the jokes. And then walked away like that wasn't terrifying. By morning, I was already restless. Coffee in one hand, hoodie barely zipped, I wandered toward the trail behind my cabin, anything to stop thinking about him. About his arms. His voice. That look. And there he was. Again. Chopping wood. Again. Like some choreographed fantasy on loop. Morning, I offered. He didn't respond. Just kept swinging. The thud of axe against bark beat louder than my pulse. Then, mid-swing, he stopped, looked at me, and said, "You hike." I blinked. Yeah. I mean, I've done Runyon. That smirk again. Cute. That's a sidewalk with an ego. I hated how much I smiled. Guess I'm about to be humbled then. He nodded toward the woods. Come if you want. Or stay here and talk to squirrels. So I followed. No idea what I was walking into, besides miles of pine and a man who looked like he could lift me and the trail. The hike was quiet. At first. Then, somewhere near the ridge, I slipped. Not bad. Just enough to twist, grab a branch, and cuss under my breath. And he was right there. Catching me. Holding my wrist like it was breakable. His chest close. His breath steady. Careful, he said. Rough. Soft. All at once. And I, being me, cracked a joke. You just wanted an excuse to grab me. He didn't laugh. Just held my eyes for a second too long. Then let go. But not before his fingers brushed my palm. On purpose. And that was the moment I knew. I wouldn't just last the week. I'd ruin it. The next morning, I woke up too early, like my body already knew it couldn't sleep through this. Through him. Alec. Even in sleep, I could feel the forest humming. Or maybe it was me. That strange quiet ache that started somewhere in my stomach and echoed under my ribs. It wasn't love. I'm not that foolish. But it was something. Something I couldn't shake. I tried to distract myself. Coffee, a book I wasn't really reading, checking my phone only to remember no signal, no distractions. Just me and the trees. Me and the ache. Me and the man next door whose hands looked like they could break and build me in the same breath. I didn't see him all day. Not by the woodpile. Not on the trail. Not a single grunt or smirk or judgmental glance from across the clearing. And the silence of it was worse than his glare. By sunset, I caved. I walked the path between our cabins, stood just out of view like a kid outside a crusher's house, and cleared my throat. Alec. Nothing. I almost turned back. Almost. Then I heard it. Footsteps. He emerged from the trees, shirt half unbuttoned, a towel over one shoulder. He must have just come from the lake. What? He asked, like I'd interrupted something private. Maybe I had. I swallowed. You weren't around today. He raised an eyebrow. You checking on me? Just making sure you hadn't died mid-chop or something. He stepped closer. The space between us shrank. Would you care if I did? I hated that the question landed somewhere soft in me. I don't know, I admitted. He nodded. Honest. I'll give you that. Silence. Then, come with me. I blinked. Where? He didn't answer. Just turned and walked. So, of course I followed. We hiked through thicker woods this time, until the trees opened like a curtain and revealed a small cove, quiet, untouched, like a secret no one had said out loud. Alec dropped the towel. Then his shirt. Then his pants. And then he was in the water. Like it was nothing. Like he was nothing. Are you serious? I called out, voice wobbling between curiosity and terror. He smirked, water dripping from his jaw. Don't tell me city boy's afraid of a little lake. I hesitated, every insecurity screaming. Then I remembered, I came here to forget all that. So I stripped. Slowly. Felt the air kiss my skin and the water welcome it. We swam in silence. Not the awkward kind. The kind that says I see you, and you don't have to perform here. The moon rose. The lake turned silver. He floated on his back, eyes closed. I watched. Then he said it. Why'd you really come here? I was quiet. Then honest. Because I loved someone who didn't love me back. And I forgot how to be alone without feeling like I was losing. He turned his head. Met my eyes. You're not losing. Then he swam closer. Closer. His hand touched mine beneath the surface. Just a brush. Barely. But it lit every nerve like wildfire. And in that stillness, I didn't feel broken. I felt found. Or at least, like I could be. We didn't speak on the walk back. Not a word. But something had shifted. You could feel it in the air. Like the trees were holding their breath. Like the forest knew something was about to burn. By the time we reached the cabins, I could barely look at him without hearing the water between us. Feeling his fingers brush mine again beneath that dark, moonlit lake. He opened his door, paused, then looked at me. Good night, Eli. It sounded too final. Like a warning. Like a dare. Good night, I said back, but it stuck in my throat. I didn't sleep. Of course I didn't. I lay awake with the sound of frogs and wind and the phantom of his voice in my ears. You're not losing. How could 4 words feel like a rescue? By morning, I gave up on rest. I stepped out onto the porch just as Alec did the same. Like we were synced up now. Like some invisible thread had been pulled taut between our cabins, and neither of us knew how, or if, to cut it. He had coffee. Black. No mug, just a dented steel thermos like he'd wrestled it from a bear. You wanna work today? He asked. I blinked. Work. He nodded toward a pile of logs. You sit around long enough, the ghosts'll eat you. Might as well keep your hands busy. I didn't argue. We spent the day chopping, stacking, hauling. And for the first time in months, my body ached in a way that felt earned. Not from heartbreak. Not from longing. From use. From presence. From now. At some point, Alec passed me a beer, nodding toward the lake. Come on. I followed. We sat on the dock, feet dangling. The sun burned low, golden and wide across the water. That guy, he said. The one who didn't love you back. I tensed. Was it real? He asked. I swallowed. To me? Yeah. To him. I think I was a story he liked for a while. One he never intended to finish. Alec nodded like he understood too well. Then, so quiet I barely caught it, he said, that's the worst kind of love. The kind that teaches you how to need, but never how to receive. I turned to him. You speak like you've lived that. He didn't respond. Not with words. Instead, he reached for my hand again. No jokes this time. No brush of fingers like an accident. Just warmth. Steady. Real. And I didn't pull away. We stayed like that until the sky turned violet and the water stilled. Then, without warning, Alec stood. And pulled me with him. He walked me to my cabin door. Didn't say good night this time. Just looked at me. Not like a man who wanted to sleep with me. Like a man who already had, in every way but the physical. Like a man who had spent too long pretending his own heart wasn't hungry. His thumb brushed my jaw. Slow. Reverent. And then he whispered it. Go inside, Eli. Before I do something I can't undo. I wanted to say do it anyway. But instead, I nodded. went inside, closed the door, and leaned my forehead against the wood like it might cool the fire in me. Because I knew something now. This wasn't just a rebound. Wasn't a wilderness flirtation. It was a storm. And I was already drenched. The knock came early. Too early for someone who hadn't slept. 3 soft taps. I knew it was him before I opened the door. Alec. Barefoot. Hoodie. Eyes red-rimmed like maybe he didn't sleep either. He held out a plate. "Pancakes," he said. "Don't get used to it." I blinked. "Are you apologizing?" His mouth twitched. "You want them or not?" I took the plate, suddenly aware I was standing in nothing but shorts and a too-thin t-shirt. His eyes flicked down. Quickly. Then away. But not before I saw it, the crack in the armor. "Thanks," I said, softer. He nodded and walked back to his cabin like he hadn't just fed every ache in me with 3 pancakes and a look. We fell into something. Not a routine. Something messier. Quieter. More dangerous. Every morning, coffee. Every evening, firewood or walking or pretending we weren't orbiting each other like a slow, inevitable pull. He didn't touch me again. Not really. Not physically. But God, his words. Little things. Sliced open so casually they didn't bleed until hours later. Like, "You make silence feel less lonely." Or, "I forgot what laughter sounded like until you came." Or, worst of all, "You ever wonder if the right person comes at the wrong time just to remind you you're still alive?" And I would laugh. Or shrug. Or change the subject. But inside, I was screaming. Yes. Yes, I wonder. Every damn day. A week turned into 10 days. 10 days into 12. No signal. No emails. No X's in my DMs. Just trees. Wind. Coffee. Alec. One night, we played cards on the floor of his cabin during a storm. Rain lashing the windows. The kind of dark that makes you say things you'd never admit in daylight. He told me about his brother. Gone too soon. Told me how the silence started as grief and became routine. I told him about the boy who kissed me like he meant it and left like he didn't. About the way love sometimes felt like punishment. He looked at me for a long time. Then said, "You're not hard to love, Eli. You're just used to begging for crumbs and calling it dinner." And before I could speak, before I could crack or cry or reach, he stood. "You should go. It's getting late." I left. Without another word. But that night, I dreamed of him. Not naked. Not desperate. Just his hand in mine. Steady. Unafraid. And I woke up hurting. Because I knew. We were on the edge of something. And edges cut. It happened on the 13th night. I couldn't sleep. Again. The wind was soft. The lake shimmered like it had secrets. And I, stupid, restless, wanting, knocked on his door. Alec opened like he was expecting me. We didn't speak. He stepped aside. I walked in. The fire was low. The cabin smelled like cedar and storm. I stood there, heart a wild thing, until he finally said, "Why are you here, Eli?" And I told the truth. "Because I don't want to want you alone." The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was sacred. He crossed the room. Stopped just short of touching me. "You know this ends, right?" he said. "I know. You'll go back. I know. You'll forget this." "No," I said, steady now. "I won't." He brushed a thumb along my jaw. His hands trembled. "I shouldn't," he whispered. "But you want to," I breathed. His forehead rested against mine. We stood there, skin to skin, breath to breath, like two prayers meeting in the middle. Then he kissed me. Slow. Devastating. Final. Not a beginning. A goodbye in disguise. We didn't sleep that night. Not in the traditional sense. We touched like we were memorizing. Like we knew the dawn would steal it all back. His name in my mouth. My name in his hands. And when morning came, we didn't speak. I packed. He watched. At the car, I turned. "I'll think of you," I said. He nodded. "I'll try not to." A pause. Then, "You ruined the silence, Eli." "I know." I smiled through the crack in my chest. It deserved to be ruined. I drove south with the taste of him on my lips and the ache of almost in my bones. Back to noise. To inboxes. To people who smile with their mouths but not their eyes. But sometimes, when it rains and the sky bruises just right, I remember. The lake. The stillness. Him. And I know. Some loves aren't meant to be kept. Just felt. Once. Deeply. And then, like fog on water, let go.